We love you, girl. We miss you, but we have a very exciting bro host filling in for her today. He's a Grammy Award-winning rapper, businessman, half of Run the Jewels, Shay's husband, and social advocate whose series, Trigger Warning with Killer Mike, is currently streaming on Netflix. Everyone give it up for Killer Mike. Oh, my God. We're so excited to have you here. And we're glad that you're here on a great day because all this week we are talking to our fans in Boston. We love our folks in Beantown. So, Mike, I know that you always keep it 100. So are you ready for some girl chat?
I'm definitely ready.
Here we go. Lonnie, get us started.
Now, Mike, the last time we had you on the show was back in 2016. It was election night. We really appreciate you for that. My, how things have changed.
Oh, no.
A lot cuter now. Wild world. But I'm happy to be back with you. I miss you guys. I watch you often, getting stoned on the sofa with my wife.
Right.
Hey, what up, wifey? Thanks for holding it down.
Love
that. And we're so glad that you're back, and we always love hearing what you have to say.
Yes.
So let's do this. Okay, up next, every week there seems to be another fashion brand getting into trouble. Last week, it was Gucci for selling a sweater that resembled blackface. And this week, it's Burberry for this hoodie, which debuted during London Fashion Week, that is accessorized with a noose around the model's neck. As expected, people were furious over the hoodie, which was eventually pulled, with Burberry CEO Marco Gabbetti issuing an apology that read, "We are deeply sorry for the distress caused by one of the products that featured in our AW 2019 runway collection. Though the design was inspired by the marine theme that was throughout the collection, it was insensitive and we made a mistake." One of the models featured in the show, Liz Kennedy, said on Instagram that she tried to speak out against the hoodie, but was ignored, adding that she saw staffers joking about the news, which one allegedly was hanging it from the ceiling. So not okay. Liz said in part, "Suicide is not fashion. It is not glamorous or edgy. And let's not forget about the horrifying history of lynching either." So, Mike, I'm here for Liz Kennedy. But I'm curious, Mike, what do you think of this horrific hoodie?
My wife and I are friends of a couple, D-Map and Kelly, who own a brand called Melrose High. Very high-end, very dope. They happen to be a black couple. And he told us just last night in a discussion in our barbershop, he said, high fashion, we as working class people tend to fall in love with something, and then we saturate it to the point we buy all of it. Those who can't afford it buy counterfeit. They get afraid that their high-end customers are going to get afraid because people who look like the people on this panel are buying their stuff, you know? And they do things like this just to turn us away, so we'll turn away from a while. So my thing is that we should be supporting brands like the one I'm wearing, Air Max. We should, which is a very overqualified to be a t-shirt and expensive, but it's nice. We should be shopping at places like Phoenix Sky, which is where I buy my white stuff, which is a black woman named Maya owns that. And we should be buying brands like Kosher Classics, which makes an amazing loafer comparable to Gucci. And we should be buying stuff like Melrose High. So if my grandmother always said, don't stay where you ain't wanted. So once you show you not wanted, stay away for a while. But I really like what T.I. and Spike Lee did around Gucci, because Gucci restole something that was stolen from them. Dapper Dan in the late 80s did an amazing run and really showed them how to be fly. Tom Ford, or one designer, went over there and then snatched his stuff, redid it, and then they said, oh my God, you're stealing from Dan. So then they went and hired Dan. I think that that's progress if we get more hires. We have Virgil at Louis Vuitton, Dan at Gucci. Spike and Tip were like, you need to hire more black designers so we can be influencing from the inside. So if you still want to buy Gucci after a 90-day boycott, meaning take their sales down for a quarter, let them know that our money matters in a quarter of a year, make them hire people who look like the people on this panel, and you know, if you really, really don't want us to buy your stuff, then just let's walk away forever and find the black designers who are making high-end stuff to buy.
Wait a minute, I just want to get back to the conversation you had. I just want to reiterate that you think that the discussion was that they do this so that we don't buy it.
Yes. So what happens is we oversaturate, right? So you'll go buy a real Gucci, and then your cousin Poochie will go buy fake Gucci, and then your auntie will bring out her old Gucci, and then they'll be like, oh my God, the people who are buying this it'll scare away our regular customers. And they do this. See, I'm in Atlanta, and it's a little different. So you know how, like, if you walk in a Gucci store and a European store, they look at you like, what are you doing in here? You're not security. But in Atlanta, you know, everybody's black in there. And, you know, shouts out to Pam, my Asian lady there who takes great care of me. But in Atlanta, you don't feel it like the way you feel outside. So I get what people are saying, and I think you punish them. Punish them for 90 or 100 days. Punish them for 3, because a quarter is 90 days. Punish them, make them see what they're missing, and trust me, they'll come crawling back begging for you.
Do you think this is similar to how Chris Style for a minute viewed hip-hop using all their stuff in music videos? You guys remember the Champagne Cristal was in every hip-hop music video. Rappers would rap about it, and they actually came out, tell me if I'm wrong, at some point, and were like, that wasn't why we made this, or they didn't enjoy that kind of publicity?
Yeah, I like Moe anyway. But beyond that, Ace of Spades is an option.
Then Jay came out with Ace of Spades.
Rick Ross has, I think it's Bel Air is an option. Ciroc is 45% owned by Puffy. There are black options, and Black Friday is something that I did out of my show called Trigger Warning. So every Friday, I want to challenge everybody to find something black to support. Whether it's high-end fashion, food, and let's cross-pollinate culturally, because there are a lot of people that look like the people on this panel that are people of color that make dope stuff, and we should be buying and supporting and building those companies.
Well said. Yes, I love that. I agree with you.
Well, someone else who recently had to clear up some controversy is Steve Harvey. On a recent episode of his talk show, Steve got into a heated debate with comedian and actress Monique over her claims of being blackballed in Hollywood by people like Oprah and Lee Daniels. Steve told Monique that he felt she went about things the wrong way by speaking her truth, saying in part, "I cannot, for the sake of my integrity, stand up here and let everybody that's counting on me crumble so I can make a statement. We black out here. We can't come out here and do it any kind of way we want to. This is the money game. This ain't the black man's game. This ain't the white man's game. This is the money game. The best thing you can do for poor people is not be one of them." After Steve was met with intense criticism from fans as well as Monique, who insinuated he was a sellout, he reevaluated his comments in an interview with People, saying in part, "I take full responsibility for it. But to people that really know me, I have lived my whole life as a man of integrity. When I was referring to integrity in the interview, I was talking about the method in which things were being done. And that is all it was. I've got to slow down when I'm talking. I can't get into heated discussions. And I've got to just guard my words more carefully." So, drama aside, do you think there are ever moments when your wallet should matter to you more than your integrity?
No. Do you think there's a...
Easier said than done.
Let them know, Mike.
Well, we all say that, but we all still shop at Walmart. We all still work for companies where we don't agree with their corporate policy. And I'm not saying all of our integrity is for sale, but we do live in a time where people make compromises in order to protect their family, in order to protect their loved ones. And what I think about this conversation is less about which side I agree with and more about I saw this as my aunt and uncle arguing, and this should have been in our living room, in our neighborhood, in our homes, and not on television.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because I felt like at the time he was talking at her. And I think that's why a lot of people got emotional behind it, because it was like he was just talking at her. Also, it was the way his diction was. It felt like that old Negro, like, you know, because they were doing memes, like it was Roots, you know, and things. So it's very important when you're trying to present something like this. Because she came on our show, Mike.
Yeah, and I love her. Like, you can't tell me nothing bad about Auntie Monique.
She did that interview like maybe an hour or two before, and then she came and did ours, and you can tell her whole demeanor was totally different. You know? And so we have to be careful about how we present messages, especially to the public. And I agree with you. That's you could do that, but I think maybe he thought he was going to get something out of it. He was going to get.
I think he was being earnest. I think he slipped out of the cameras on and into I'm talking to my friend.
But that's why he should have just stuck to promoting. Let her promote her show, and that's it. But not trying to school her on a show.
But with that said, I don't want to throw out everyone every time they make us angry, because you know, Steve has been a tremendous cornerstone in terms of black comedy and in terms of philanthropy in our community and helping young men and women get education. You know, we share the same account. I ain't got the kind of money he does. Shouts out to Cole and Clark. But the brother does a lot of good work in our community, and that's just a conversation as black people we should be having in our living rooms and not on TV.
And I don't think you should be silent if you feel you were done wrong...
Yeah, you got to say something.
I think you absolutely should speak up and say something and don't just say, oh, I just want to fit in, so let me be quiet. I think that is never the message that should be out there. But I do think that even if someone else was wrong, you don't lose your character trying to prove that they were wrong.
But he's also right about some things. It's not necessarily selling out if you need to improve yourself to get a job, okay? And I think, in a way, that's what he was trying to say. It just came out wrong.
Yeah, it came out like an uncle.
Right.
It came out like the uncle that's made it, that comes to the barbecue and drinks wine inside with your mom and dad, and your other uncle who drinks beer in the driveway is saying it radically different. You know what I'm saying? So D.L. Hughley is driveway uncle. You know what I'm saying? Steve is living room uncle.
Because, I mean, even on this show, it's a certain way we have to act. Now, you go see me in my comedy act. I've said this before.
Yeah.
It's different. You go see him on his rap game. It's a whole different way.
Cursing like a sailor.
Okay. But so that doesn't mean that we selling out. It's just that we have a different part of ourselves because everybody is everything ain't for everybody at every time.
And there's layers to who you are as a person.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
And you don't always have to just be one way.
I do agree with one thing he said, though, and it comes off wrong. When you say, I can't help the poor from one of them. But we were in a discussion last night, me, David Banner, and Herman Russell. You guys could Google Herman Russell and what his family's done in terms of development. But a sister was talking about starting a business that was literally just to help people. And I said, the best thing I can do as a businessman, because I want to make money, is hire people.
Right.
Not help people. So, and what I think that's what Steve was really just saying. He wants to be in a position of hireship and of creating industry and building jobs versus the other people are about philanthropy, and there's room for both. Both methods will work, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's not keep throwing each other out just because we disagree with one thing.
Yeah. But the one thing I will say, too, is that at least this conversation, by seeing that conversation, is making us have another conversation.
Absolutely.
And I
About
like the
how
way
to
you
make it
brought
better.
it back to us, that we can be responsible consumers. Because we
Absolutely.
have choices. And sometimes, because I know everybody, you got busy schedules and you got families, you don't have time to research, but it's so good for shows like yours and what you're telling us here, that there are options out there so you don't have to support people that maybe aren't really supporting what you believe in as well. You got to remember that.
This is why we like to have Killer Mike come on, because he'll get us to the brink.
Perspective.